Hey friends, let's explore the mindful world of finances with our guest expert Peter SANDBERG, a wide-profile investor and a founding partner and managing director of Nordic Security Fund. Discover the secrets to nurture a healthy money mindset, instilling financial responsibility in the next generation, and making value-driven investment decisions in the dynamic world of startups. Tune in for insights that can transform your relationship with money and empower you to make informed financial choices. Do you have any recommendations where people can start, to manage their own money, finances?
That's a very good question.
Yeah.
I have many ideas. Before I started as an angel investor like 7 years ago. I had more than 35 years in asset management, investment banking, private banking. So obviously I have spent most of my career helping wealthy people, take care of their wealth. And a very good idea is, of course, to diversify your portfolio. Not only invest in real estate or not only buy tech shares, but make a diverse portfolio of course, listed stock, and of course, not only in one sector or one niche or one country, but invest with diverse, have a good asset allocation. What is basically the word? So you have. But of course, if you're young and you don't maybe have a lot of things, then you can use ETF or you can buy a fund like a global growth fund or whatever. There are so many opportunities. But I said the risky part is to put all your money on let's say Google or Amazon or one share or Alibaba or whatever. That is a typical rookie mistake because people think they know that company very well, and it's much better to only invest in one share, which of course is, in my opinion, a big mistake. But I would say that topic is a very, very wide one. So, but as I said, I have a lot of experience in taking care of wealth, and the same goes to like when I started as an angel investor. Many of the more experienced angel investors said in the beginning, "Oh, Peter, investing in a lot of things." But to me, I'm very risk averse by nature, meaning that. Of course, you are aware, if you're an angel investor, that it is super risky because basically only 1 in 20 will be okay and 1 in 50 will be very good. Yeah. So obviously you will lose a lot. And in the beginning, I did the same mistakes like most angel investors do, that you either fall in love with the product or you like the people so much. And obviously everybody likes you. As I used to say, when I came home, having met like in 2016 and 17 and 18, I met more than 1,000 startups. It was my, daily job to see startups, and I was curious. And sometimes I got home, I told my wife, "Oh, it was so exciting. They're doing this and this, and they really like me." And she looked at me in my eyes and said, "Peter, they want your money." And she was right. Yeah. Of course, of course, if you're a startup, you try to show the best part of yourself because you need the funds so much. And so of course, I made some mistakes, but luckily I was also wise to do them very early. So I learned from them, and from that time, and that is also a long way to answer your question, but. By making syndicates as an angel investor, instead of investing alone, the risk for me was much lower when I involved like sometimes 2 or 3, other times 7 or 8 other smart thinking people. And then we brought our capital together, and then we found on each case, we selected who will be the 1 or 2 persons best suited for helping the company. Yeah. Who knows something, whether it's e-commerce or life science, there's always some, and due to that experience, that is actually one of the reasons why today in our 2 funds we had more than 100 angel members who are joining us as VC, because they know me and Frank, my co-founder, and they know my view on risk basically is that I'm not very keen on risk, but of course I understand I need to do it, otherwise I will never make a 2, 5, 10x, which I've been lucky to do a number of times.
Yeah, for sure. And what I've noticed among the young people as well is the relationship with money is also very important. We've noticed, and even in among our friends, we had the situations where people were for example, having a business and it was very successful, or they had a great job and they were earning so much money. And unfortunately, after that, the other even more important stuff were kind of going out of hand, you know, the family, the relationship, even the happiness and so on. What would you recommend for people to maybe how to build the relationship with money, how to have the healthy relationship with money?
It's a good question again. No, but it is because obviously, you know, when I met my, now I'm 60 years old, so I met my wife around 30 years ago, and at that time I thought I had a very good salary. You know, I had a house, I had a car, I've been working, but I didn't miss anything. Though today, my monthly salary is more than 5 times higher. Of course, we have very high tax in Denmark and Nordic, but again, the thing is that you just without really realizing it, you just increase your spendings. You know, I have 4 cars. 2 of them are with my 3 daughters in Copenhagen, and you know, you're not telling everybody about this because basically my own experience is that I would never spend money you don't have. Period. Because when I was 23, I was working in a bank, and suddenly I was allowed to get a credit line, and that was around, let's say, 4,000 euros, something like that. What happens? 3 weeks later, new suit, a new car, boom, everything I spend, and I promised myself I will never ever spend money I don't have not owned. So that is a simple rule for me. Don't spend money you don't have. And also because to me, like nowadays, many young people are preparing weddings for many thousand euros, whatever. And sometimes they are saving a lot and they are planning and missing and they're borrowing money to do it, and then they get married and they break up 3 months later. You know, I think take it easy. You know, the most important thing in your life, besides your health, is of course your relationship. And also when you have a family. To me, the thing that matters the most to me is of course my wife and my children, and also my old parents who are still alive. They are 83, so they will not be around for the next 20 years, but still, those are the things that matter. Of course, I'm privileged by being financially independent, and I've been that for many years, but that doesn't make me more happy. What concerns me is, and also when the stock market sometimes take a day where I lose on my paper, you can say millions of, or several 100,000 euros, it doesn't affect me, because to me, it's monopoly money still, because I'm not depending their savings, and what I believe is important is that you have a balance and you understand the importance of making a budget, and you don't and you know, okay, what is important to me is this, and if you suddenly make a lot extra, don't spend it, make a plan and make savings. When you're 20 or 30, you don't think you will never get older, basically. And until a certain age in time, you know, and especially nowadays when interest rates are lower, you know, if you don't start increase savings while you're young, suddenly then you're only left with whatever in Denmark we have something called folkepension, which is what you're paid by the government. That's a very, very small amount, which would be very difficult for people having just had a kind of successful business life to live from those money. And the thing is, the earlier you stay, the better retirement plan you can make. Of course, it can sound extremely boring to talk about retirement when you're in your 20s or 30s, but if you understand the freedom it gives you, that you're not dependent on whatever, that you can do whatever you like if you have that financial. And to me, it means a lot. I've always been very conservative on my own economy, and therefore many people often ask me, why don't you buy even a bigger car? Or why should I? I mean, I know it's a bad. Now I have, of course, a decent car, but you know, compared to what I could do, you know, I'm actually pretty modest, and you know, I also write in bold. I like to say, because I know then on other things that interest me. When I buy my golf equipment, I don't take any shitty. Sure. I only go for the best, and same goes for when of course I spoil my family with if they give. They know if they have a wish for me, I'm always giving more or less whatever they like.
But I think that's what it tells, you know, that the relationship with money and the values is right. And for example, for the young generation, because, well, I'm also at the moment 28 and I'm already thinking about, you know, the savings and so on, and I started quite early. And of course, the startup world is kind of tricky, because you always think, oh, okay, I will save it a bit later. Now I will invest, you know, in the startup, and I will put all the money and so on. But then when something happens, you know, you face the challenges and so on, you feel the anxiety, you know, inside yourself. And that takes a lot of energy, and then you get a bit like sad or maybe angry and so on. So it's better to try to keep, the balance pretty early. And for example, if I'm a student or I just ended up my studies and I try to work, what would be the first step of saving, money? Should I know I get 2,000 euros, should I put like 200 euros of savings each month, or how should I do that?
It's very individual, of course, and I also say what I have told because I have a son 28, a daughter 26, and a son 22. While they've been studying, I always tell them, remember, they have no debt. They've been working, they've been studying and so far, but also, well, for instance, while they've been like 6 months in California and doing part of their master there. And while going there, I said, of course, when you are there, go and explore take advantage. Because suddenly, 2 or 5 years from now, you will have a child or you have a mortgage loans. And so, of course, you should do things. But again, the pleasure of doing things is much more fun if you have the money already and don't need to, take loans or all these things to do what you can. So basically, if you're able to put away 100 euros, it's fine. If you can do 500, it's also good. Of course, having a startup is also extremely important. Especially, there's of course 2 ways. One thing is if you and your partner or your co-founder are building this startup in order to make it your own for the rest of your life, then of course it is less important how fast you scale it. But if at a time you are seeking to get in external capital from venture or whoever, then of course what is super important for them is to see that you can grow your company. Because otherwise, and also of course that you can scale it, because building a company in a country in the Baltic is very similar to Denmark. We are also like 5 or 6 million people, which I believe 6 million people is a total of 3 Baltic countries together. So people, if you build a local business, very few will invest. But I was privileged back in 2016 at John started Wise Guys, and that is why I've been coming here to the Baltic countries for the past 6 years. And I learned very quickly that the founders in this region are very eager and understand from the day one the need to think outside globally, not only Finland or Sweden or Poland, but also UK, US, wherever their market is. And that I think is a huge advantage, and one of the reasons why there has been so many, successful. In the beginning was mainly Estonia was like the smart kid on the block. Now you see Lithuania is picking up a lot. I've seen Latvia unfortunately being a bit behind on that scale. We are lucky in our fund. We have 2 Latvian companies, and we also seeing more and more coming up. But still, in my perspective, seen from the outside, it has been like Estonia, Lithuania, Latvia. That is like. But as I see today at Techtil, there's a lot of talented Latvian companies. So I think it means a lot. And also, of course, having companies like Printify and Printful, of course, inspires people and see, okay, like on Print on Demand, we are maybe the 2 leading, world-leading companies are local, and some very cool founders. And that, I think, is a huge inspiration for many, like yourself, I would say.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Well, we actually touched on a topic that I would like to elaborate a bit more, is about, the childhood and your child as well. Well, children, not one, but, what type of the lessons you taught them, about not only maybe about the money, but maybe about the life lessons as well, because you have a really huge experience. And I believe that working not only with money, with other people, is also you're grabbing so many different experiences and lessons. So what was the main maybe lessons that you taught for your kids?
I know for sure, there are a lot of those reality programs where you see people who are financially broken and they get advices, and some years ago, there's a funny story that for present, my wife and I, we got like a box, a jar, and in that there were a lot of small notes. And on each day in December, we could open one of those and put them on a box. That was pretty funny. And one of them for me said, thanks for teaching us the importance of money. We will never end up in, it's called the luxury trap, in Denmark. And then today, my oldest son is working in the finance, in the Minister of Finance, and of course is super he's lucky that he has his mother intelligence, and that is a big, and they have always been, and also because I was not very hardworking when I went to school. My parents were school teachers, by the way, but I went to school, because it was a bit easy, so I never hardly did any homework. So I was pretty lazy. But be honest at that, and also of course selling that. What is important to me is that if you do what you say is what you do, and if you take a task, you finish it. Like when your children are small, they say, "Oh, I want to play the piano." Okay, then you begin, and then you end. Then you do one season, and simply say, "I want to go swimming." Fine. So after 2 weeks, you don't quit and go to the gym or play soccer. No. So doing things and behaving and be nice to people. It doesn't cost anything. What I also very much dislike in this area, especially some investors, whether they're VCs or angel investors, looking like this, looking like they're the smartest than the guy, and being very, very, I would say, not open-minded and very arrogant, basically, because in my opinion, no matter how you might, and of course you meet naive founders like you do, but in my opinion, no matter how less smart you think a person is, she or he, there's always a way, in a polite way, you can address questions, and to me, it really annoys me, and if I see that, I immediately react because I will not accept that it doesn't cost anything to be nice. And it's a simple, and I'm sorry if I'm walking a bit around the topic, but to me, being decent, being nice means a lot, because I'm privileged. When I did together with my co-founder this fund, everybody said it cannot be done. Nobody have ever done a secondary fund, and to me, I'm like, if people say that cannot be done, it challenges me. Of course it can.
Oh, yes, it can. Yeah.
But of course, also because I did 2 asset management companies before, where I also was the founder. And in both those companies, in less than 2 years, I raised around 700-800 million euros from wealthy people. But that was also in listed things, and they knew I had a track record. Starting a secondary fund without having ever done that before, and I would have assumed it would take me like half a year. It took, or 3 months. It took me like a year and 4 months. And then when we did our first fund, which was a 50 million euro fund, then having 4 exits in that fund very rapidly. When we did the second fund, it only took us 4 months to raise 90 million euros, as 90. So now we have raised, more than 140 million euros and have deployed in many successful companies. We don't do investment directly in the companies, but we buy, you could say, old shares from founders who are looking at the company they have done, like you have found yourself. You have a company, maybe somebody thought it was worth 2 million euros 5 years ago. Now suddenly an investor has brought in 10 million and put a price tag on your money saying it's worth 100 million euros. But the thing is, if you and your partner goes to the bank and say, we still have 90% of the company, so our wealth is down 90 million. They say, congratulations, and go beep yourself, because you cannot use that collateral for anything. So therefore, founders come to us often and say, we would like to sell some shares, and they are fully aware, yes, we are buying with a discount of 25% on average, because the money don't go to the company. They go, and due to the credit risk and again the illiquidity, they're willing to do that in order to get some achieve some of the goals they have in their lives, because if you're a successful founder, if you will be very successful, whether you have 20% or 9 or 17.3, don't mean a shit. Sorry, my friends, because if it will be very, very successful, you'll be loaded. But if it doesn't bring, if you don't make an exit, or if it suddenly declines, then having sold secondaries, having 1 million in the bank or 2 million euros, it gives sort of a freedom and opportunity. It's safety, because otherwise your whole wealth is in that company, and you never know. There has been so many examples in history. That's one of the advantages by being an older guy, or girl, that if you see that suddenly you can have a company having a unique market position, like you saw the typewriting machines in the old days, or Kodak, or the DVD market, suddenly things got disrupted. Who would foresee that today we are streaming like it? I'm so when I was your age or younger, you rented a movie box and you went to the tank. It was so, and today you're just streaming on your phone, whether you're in a plane or so. There are so many things that can happen, or whether it's a new technology or black swans events or legislation. So therefore, an advice would also be, and of course, the opportunity to sell secondaries is limited, because investors like myself are, of course, only most interested to buy in the only very best companies. So it is not easy. We have done more than 150 NDAs, meaning we have done due diligence on the majority of those companies, and I think we have done like 34 or 35 deals.
Yeah.
So of course, but yes, that was again one of my specialties. Long answers to short questions, but please interrupt me if it gets too much.
No. That's the podcast is not only about to just answer the questions, but it's about bringing a personal experience to others as well. And I think it's very important sometimes to see the background why some of the decisions you made come into your life and so on. So I think it's perfect. And I also, as a founder, you have to sometimes work like very efficiently, very productive, and of course, take care of your health at the same time. But what was the main maybe things that help you to stay productive? As you mentioned, that if you start the task, you have to finish it. But maybe there are other advices that other entrepreneurs, startup owners, or just people can use.
But you're actually touching a very sensitive point for me, because sometimes the biggest strength is also your biggest disadvantage. Yeah. And to me, like, I'm very bad at not doing the 100% things. Yeah. And last Christmas, my oldest son, Niels, who's also, like every parent believe their children are the best in the world, of course, but then he said to me, when is it enough? When are you satisfied? Yeah. And that was a tough one, because I'm easy to get excited, but I always think I can improve, I can be better. If I make, have a good deal, and then I said, like if I go to Texel, if somebody reaches out and think what they're doing is interesting, say maybe I could squeeze in another meeting. When I was the last 2 years I've been at Slush, I had like 70 meetings, one-on-one, without any breaks, and that is of course insane, stupid. Yeah. But I simply can't resist. I'm so curious to find out what can I learn. Of course, also when you see that there are thousands of startups there, and having the opportunity to potentially buy, many of them are keen to understand our value proposition. For me, I'm also very interested, because to me it's not only about their business. I would actually meet the founders, because some of the learnings I have, both from my time as an angel investor, but also now doing secondaries, is basically that it's all about the people, because you can get very excited from numbers, obviously, but the thing is that when suddenly things happen, if the personal due diligence is also super important. Yeah, sure. Do references, because you learn a lot when a crisis occurs, like it has been over the last 2 years. And I've said last year in December, we took a whole week. We did like 4 countries in 5 days. 2 days in Estonia, 1 day in Latvia, 1 day in Lithuania, and then 1 day in Sweden. Visiting like 20 of our 15 of our portfolio companies and some local VCs with whom we work. And there, by meeting them at the end of the year, you get 5 minutes into the meeting, you had a very good idea, where are they, Yeah. Some of course, were in very big crises where, it was nearly living, month by month by the support of a few key investors, where others benefit from the and really had pivoted their businesses, and so therefore learning, being aware about where your strengths are, but also take care of yourself in a way, and remember to do some breaks. I'm not very good at it myself. I'm still at 6 years. I'm still telling myself, remember to relax. That is, by the way, you're sitting with your dog. When I go to my house in the countryside, because during COVID, I found out, instead of driving, I live half an hour outside in Copenhagen, in Roskilde. Instead of driving to the office every morning, and there's a lot of traffic, spending an hour in the queue, it was much more productive if I work sometimes from home, or if I have a house in the countryside. And then I found out, if I took our 2 dogs to my house in the countryside, then I had to take a walk in the morning, and I had to take a walk in the afternoon. Yeah. Because if I didn't bring the dogs, I would be working from 7 in the morning or 8 in the morning.
No breaks.
Hardly any breaks besides going up and have some lunch. Sure. And then I would work maybe to 7 or 8 or 9 in the evening. Yeah. And not because I have to, no one is expecting, nobody, I'm my own boss, but I that's how I am.
You know yourself.
I know myself, so that's why it is really, for me, it's like therapy. And also remember, when I sometimes in the afternoon make a cup of tea, go to the couch and sit with the dogs, because they love when you cuddle them. And by doing that, you have to relax, because you cannot be on your phone at the same time, which I'm I very rarely leave it. You know what it's like, because I think it's always so important. I like to when people, and I'm the most impatient person in the world. You know, if people don't answer me like in 5-10 minutes, I think what the fuck is happening. You know, so there are many good things about pets, whether it's a dog or a cat, and by remember doing breaks, which I'm lousy at it. I'm trying to be better, and but the good thing is that if you're aware of where to improve, hopefully you can do so.
You're actually reminding me of my co-founder and my husband as well, because he's like 100% the same. If he does something, he has to do like 100% and finish till the last end, till the last drop, you know, of the task is done. And he's also always saying all in. If I go and do something, I have to be like all in, and I do it, and I'm learning a lot from him too. And of course, the lesson about taking a bit, you know, a time to relax is also very important, because I've noticed by myself as well. I had a few times even I had the burnout and so on. And sometimes I think we are all different. You know, if some people can go like maximum and push it, some of us are a bit different, and it's important.
No, but I've also had like 10 or 11 years ago. I was so low on batteries due for various reasons. I actually had to make I was off for like 6 or 7 months because I had the feeling like my batteries from 0 to 100, I was down at 1 or 2. I was so close I had no energy left, and simply because there were so many things in my mind, and I found out that, you know, my former partners behind my back for a long time had been telling stuff. It was I was so disappointed, and I was so empty. I never thought I would like to do anything. I was just so. So when people say, "Oh, put yourself together," stress can really take a lot of things.
That's so true. That's why I also learn, you know, the breathing or the meditation. And even though that sometimes a lot of people are even joking, oh, those entrepreneurs or startup owners, they're doing lots of things like meditation, and it's a trendy thing and so on. But then I think, you know, we are the ones that are facing like huge stress, like a lot of stress, lots of tension, and we're just looking for ways what we can do.
But that's also why whether you go to meditation or you take your dog for a walk for half an hour, or just take yourself for an hour, it something happens just like this morning. Well, I also had been on a Zoom call because I don't know, the calendar mixed up. Suddenly yesterday it seems like I had to be at 7:30. What the fuck? So I was ready to take a boat. Then suddenly my calendar said 8:30. That sounds bad. It was very early, though we had agreed on an early start, but I said 7:30. So
no, but too early.
So I would have been here like that early. But then, you know, it's just super important that you are aware of those risks and you take them serious, and that is also why it is important to a break. And no matter how successful you are, it is important that you take a 1 or 2 weeks vacation, go somewhere, and because though you think it is what you have on your roadmap is super important, you know, if you don't leave room for having, relaxing, enjoying. That is why, as I told you, when my oldest son Nils said me, when is it enough? Or are you never satisfied? Or what will it take? You know. And of course, I'm super thankful and grateful. I've been successful doing. I'm privileged by doing. The funniest thing, what I'm doing today is giving me so much joy and pleasure. I will never retire myself. Of course, illness, sickness, but I will never imagine, you know, my wife's husband, he's only 1 year older than me. He retired last year, you know. I would not know what to do. Honestly, I would get bored, and I think also my wife is happy that I'm not around all the time, because I'm not that I'm super happily married. That's not it. And I really I miss when I'm not here. But she also knows that she's getting the best, hopefully, version of me when I'm excited about what I'm doing, and when I'm happy, and because I think that is the one of the reasons for a strong and good relationship is that you understand how to make sure that your partner is having her or his best
time, you know, and for sure, And what I've noticed as well is that when you're taking those, for example, a vacation, well, at the moment we haven't took a vacation for more than a week probably yet, but I enjoy every, you know, like as you said, like 30 minutes, and I try to do it every day for a couple of times to make sure that I'm not going out or imbalance myself. But what I've noticed as well, when you take your time, you also sparkle that creativity, and you can find the solutions. Because if you're putting all the energy,
I have a very good advice, because for many years, you know, my wife and I, we went like, oh, let's go to Rome for extended weekend. Now we go to Paris. But then last year we did something. We took actually 8 days in Paris, and a boutique hotel, taking 8 days instead of when you go for a weekend, you
Yeah.
spend, sorry my friends, a fucking day more or less traveling because you need to be in the airport 2 or 3 hours ago before, and then you go transportation
and then
yes, it's so. But
exhausting.
so instead of taking 2 or 3 breaks, I would recommend you and your partner to take 1 week, and whether it's Paris or it's Budapest, it doesn't matter where it is, or go somewhere, enjoy yourself. Copenhagen, by the way, is beautiful. It's expensive, but it is super nice, and the food and the people, and but no matter where you go, but go try to stay 1 week, because what happens if only the weekend, then if you're in Barcelona, we need to see La Sagrada Familia, we need to see that museum, so you're stressing yourself instead of when you know, like when we were in Paris, today I think we will take a tour on the Seine. We will, and then 2 days later, let's see the Eiffel Tower. We know it's a must to go there, and we saw some small museum. We had plenty of time, and time is super good. And why? Because then you relax. You don't need to rush to do things, and then you can go to the spa or whatever you like, and make sure read a book or whatever you hear an interesting podcast from Hello Inspiration or whatever is possible wherever you are.
Yeah, that's actually very true. And even I think a few months ago I read a study made that even something in our chemistry, inside happens when we spend more than 7 or 10 days. This is where the break starts, 7 or 10 days. But it means that 7-10 days without work. It's not like you're working in the meantime and then okay, let's go to see the Eiffel Tower, but then I have a call, So it's very important to just break everything, stop, spend the time together with your family, with the people you love or enjoy a company with, and those 7 to 10 days are the vital ones when something changes in our life.
And that is also an area where it is much harder today, both the politicians and the founders, because you are on 24/7 and people are expecting you to be on. Whereas back in the days, when our children were smaller, my wife used to say the first 5 days I was on vacation, either I was sick, I was stressed, because suddenly I thought, she was running everything at home. Suddenly I came back and started to interfere and change the routines. But after the first week, then I was more relaxed, of course. So I think it is an important thing, and it's also very stressful because if you're running a business, it's difficult not to I will just check my mail and see if anything important. And I'm trying to do that when I have vacation. I look in the morning and the evening. But the fact is that my mental advisor, my coach I'm talking to, at one time recommended that I deleted my mail on my iPhone, and I did that for like 2 weeks, and then I was back on again because I simply couldn't do it.
But I think it's something in the blood, on the mindset of the founder, or the people, the active people. We are who we are. We need to admit that it's important to us what we do. We care not only about the company, but the people that work to our company and so on. So it's not everything about the control, but it's also about taking care, making sure that everyone is happy and so on. So,
but it is a balance, and it's something you need to be aware of it, because, as I said, it's difficult, and if you also, I could imagine being a couple, running a business, living together, doing everything together.
That's a separate podcast.
That's a separate podcast.
They are. It's a very interesting experience, I would say. Definitely, for sure. It grows your skin to be very, very tough, but at the same time, it strengthens the relationship as well. So, but there are not a lot of people who survive this type of challenge as well. So, but I think we are getting better and better each day.
Cool.
So thank you so much for a really open, honest, and a wonderful conversation. I can't wait to share it with others. And I wish you a really productive day at TechChill.
Thank you, and likewise, and all the best. See you.
Thank you.
Bye.